I want to start off by first saying congratulations on pushing play. Just by being here, we know that you are ambitious. And what that means to us is that you're willing to challenge the status quo in the pursuit of delivering more value to more people. And we thank you for allowing us to be part of that journey and watching this training. Now, before we jump in, I want to talk about some of the key areas that we're solving for as we create scalable growth. Now, when organizations reach out to us here at Monarch, a lot of times they're asking some key questions like, how do I forecast more appropriately? How do I understand what I'm bringing in next month, next quarter, the end of the year, and do that in an effective and predictable manner time and time again? And then secondarily, once we have that information at our fingertips, how do we make sure we hire proactively rather than reactively, and make sure we can foresee future bandwidth issues coming down the pipeline and our back of the house hiring? In addition to that, as we create scalable growth, it's putting in the systems and processes that allow you to run more effectively and in turn gather data at specific areas so you can make better decisions. Here at Monarch, we say that it's not about making the right decision, but about making decisions right. And that's having the right data and analytics to match that with your gut and understanding of the market in order to make that decision. And then from there, you're able to understand where and how to coach your teams and individuals better. You can onboard your new hires into a systematic approach of training because you have a process that you run across every single department, in turn helping them become more self-sufficient quicker, reducing ramp and increasing your retention. Now, along with those, as you operate in these scalable systems, it allows you to determine the alignment between your teams, between individuals within the organization, but most importantly, for your organization to align around your customer. And with that, one of the main things that we're really solving for is customer happiness. How do we optimize for the customer journey and have all of the individuals that you work with become vocal advocates of what you do and help spread the word to deliver more value to more people? Now, we're going to dive in first to some definitions and data to help ground us, make sure we are saying the same thing. The first one is your go-to-market motion. Well, I'll say different things like go-to-market strategy, go-to-market motion throughout these trainings. When I say that, it's just how you present yourself to the market and convey your competitive advantage. The second phrase that I want to define quickly is scalability, right? And it's an organization's capacity to grow in order to meet increased demand. Essentially, how we define it internally here is you can increase revenue faster than you increase costs. Right? Now, we'll dive into some additional data here where we took a study that HubSpot did about the places that decision makers make their decision or where they get their information. Now, the first one is word of mouth and referrals. This touches on that last bullet point of creating happy customers. That's where your other customers are going to find out information and asking. Second is your customer references, right? People reaching out and asking you for people you've done business with before. Third is vendor authored materials, which is essentially your marketing team putting out educational content that lead towards your solution. Then analyst reports and your sales team. Now, don't worry, sales. I'm in sales myself. What this tells me is that throughout my sales process, I just need to incorporate the top four to provide my buyers with the education and information that they need in order to make the right decision for them. Now, let's talk a little bit about the three key principles that we'll walk through today. Now, we're going to talk about this first one of customer in versus function out in this video. And then in subsequent videos, we're going to talk about clarity breeds mastery and the alignment of vectors. Reason being is it's typically a 45-minute training or 45-minute video. And I wanted to give it to you in bite-sized portions rather than this long 45-minute training that you have to sit through. So today in this video will be customer in versus function out. So let's dive in. Let's go into this first theory, or it's actually a mindset of how you look at your organization and the strategies and processes that you create, right? Customer in is actually the opposite of what we call function out strategy. And a function out strategy is what most organizations use when we start working with them. It is them looking internally to create efficiencies in process specifically for them to get their job done, and then pushing that process out into the world and having their customers, prospects, and leads walk through it. Now, juxtapose that to a shift in a customer in strategy. This is where we first ask, what does the customer need at this point? And then build our structure and our process afterwards. We are putting the customer at the forefront of everything we do and optimizing for the buyer's journey. And essentially, how we create happier customers along the way. Now, when creating this customer in strategy, there's three key things that you'll need to create. Now, this is getting a lot of us back to some of the basics that we already know, but those basics are often used as a checkbox exercise and never fully integrated into the organizations. That's something that we have a paid training on over at Monarch on how to integrate these into your organizations. But the three key strategies within here are creating an ideal company profile, a buyer persona, and a buyer's journey. Now, sometimes these phrases are overused and you've done them before. You might have them within the system. You need to get these right in order to create a customer in strategy. Understanding who you sell to, the organizations and the individuals, and the path that they go through to purchase from you should be your competitive advantage in the market. You should know your customers better than anybody else. There's times when I was selling back at my tenure at HubSpot where prospects would say, it sounds like you have our conference room bugged. That's what we want for you throughout your sales process, for them to feel as though you know exactly what they're going through, which you will. Now, first, let's start with ideal company profile. These are the organizations that you sell to. So you're going to want to start creating, an understanding of the company size, right? How large are they, employee size wise, the industries that they serve in, their revenue, the geography or where they're located. And then you're going to want to find specific things that are relevant to your company and your company alone that make these organizations a good fit. Now, let's talk a little bit about how to do this. First one is you want to examine your current customers. Right? You want to take a look at the industries that you're serving right now and you're doing it most effectively, and then pull in different data points like profit margin, net promoter score, retention, and understand who are your top organizations that you currently work with. Now, on top of the quantitative data, you also want to look at the qualitative aspect and ask your team, what is their sentiment towards these type of customers? What's the ease of execution, the adoption within there, how easy it is to work with these? I worked with an organization one time when, after we looked at the data, we talked to the team, and there was this new subset of customers that came out that we wouldn't have found through the data that actually made a fantastic ICP that we actually built new product and services to support, and it just ended up being one of their top types of customers that they work with. In addition, you want to add external sources to enhance the profile, like a ZoomInfo, LinkedIn, build that profile up. And then you also want to start building this anti-company profile. I don't think organizations do this enough, is being able to say, okay, these are the ones that look good, but we want to send up red flags for these type of organizations. One, that's our tire kickers that waste our time, that our profit margins are upside down and they do buy from us, but they waste our time. We want to find those out as well. Now let's take a look at a slimmed down version of a ICP. And that's essentially what we're looking at here. Companies said, oh, here's the industry that we serve, number of employees that they have to have, the location. Now, this is that specific data point that is specific to this organization, right? What dependent technology? In order to make this company work for that organization, their buyers need to be on Slack. And then they built out some use cases. Most ICPs will go much more in depth than this. We help with that. And there's templates in our resources section, but this is a good start for an ideal customer profile. Now, as we talk about the organizations, then we want to zoom in on the individuals within those organizations that we sell to. And that's going to be understanding things like their job title, the psychographics, challenges, goals, their watering holes, everything along those lines. What makes these individuals tick? Not specifically about you and your role, but you and your company, but them and their role. How do they get promoted? What KPIs do they report up to their boss, and so on and so forth? And there's a couple different ways to start creating this as well. You want to first talk to your internal teams who talk to them every day. Sales and service are boots on the ground who have in-depth conversations with these individuals on a daily basis. You want to start to understand who the decision makers are, Who are the people championing this? Who are the people trying to block this type of purchase? Who are the ultimate end users of your product or service? You also want to capture relevant data points at key portions of the buyer's journey or customer journey through surveys, form fields, or onboarding questionnaires to really get an understanding of key information that you need in order to build out these personas. And then don't be scared of your customers. Go out there and talk to them. Run customer interviews. Ask them what they need. Say, one of the questions I love is, if you had a magic wand, what would you change about Monarch, right? What would you change about your company in order to make it a better experience for you? Get their feedback. And now we often say here at Monarch as well that your growth isn't found in what you win. It's finding out why you lost and then winning that next time. So we always advocate that you run closed loss deal interviews. Reach out to the individuals who didn't buy from you. Understand why, how they made that decision, and figure out how to win that next time. And then you want to start building out the decision-making criteria of each individual, segment your findings, and really start building out who those individuals and those teams are that buy from you. Here's a slimmed down version of a buyer persona as well. Sales manager, different behaviors, the pain points, goals, and needs. You go super in depth in these, and you really want to get a better understanding of what drives these individuals' decisions and what makes them tick. Now, let's continue on from buyer persona into the buyer's journey. Once we have identified all the individuals and the organizations that buy from us, we need to map out their specific journey. And the buyer's journey is just essentially the process that the customer goes through when purchasing a product or service. Now, spoiler alert, this is what a go-to-market strategy revolves around, right? How do you optimize the buyer's journey? So let's go dive into the buyer's journey a little bit more. Essentially, it's made up of 5 key areas, from awareness to consideration, purchase, retention, and advocacy, right? Then we want to be able to take that specific section and map each persona to that. In the awareness stage, what are the customer's activities? What are their goals in that stage? What questions are they asking? Where do they go to find their information? What touch points do they use? And what's their experience like there? How can we enhance that experience and become the thought leader within the industry? And on the bottom of this sheet here, I want to talk a little bit about the internal things. What's the business goal for us? What KPIs are we tracking? What are the organizational activities and who's responsible for them? We want to map out each specific customer journey or buyer's journey within this specific section here as well. Now, I know a lot of organizations that we've worked with have this information built out, or they've done some sort of it. Many times it's usually up in their head and not documented or taught to the team or implemented throughout their strategies. But I want to show you some key results that make this so impactful. When you actually get this right, I want to show you some early SEO efforts from one of our customers. When they really started to focus in, their SEO efforts by knowing their ICP and their personas skyrocketed because they were speaking directly to that customer. And then once that happened, they had the right individuals coming to the website, the right individuals converting, their MQLs and deal creation shot through the roof as well. So this is the first theory that we really want to talk through when creating this scalable motion within your organization. It's how do you create a customer strategy within your department and within your organization. Now, take a look at the videos below to go on to the next training. Can't wait to help you with your transformation in creating scalable growth within your organization. We'll see you next time.